Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Bookends and Books. This video is a complaint and I'm going to show you the proof that my complaint is well-founded. I'm going to complain about a little someone who entered my life in the middle of July, a little four-legged someone who is not even in the video today because that little someone is taking a nap after having gone around the block a couple of times, and that's very, very exhausting apparently. No, to be fair, we went more than around the block a couple of times. We went around quite a few blocks and just once. Anyway, the reason I'm complaining is that at the beginning of the year, I had set myself the objective that if I buy a book, I read a book, and that's it. So no book buying ban, and no particular rule, but just common sense. If I acquire books, I read them. And as I said, in the middle of July, I got a little dog, and that little dog needs to be taken out several times a day. And we walk around the neighborhood, and somehow, for no particular reason, our walks seem to take us in front of little free libraries. And I cannot help myself but to look at what's in the box every time I pass the little free library, and I seem to find stuff all the time. So this is a book haul of books that I found in little free libraries since the end of July, really. Not even the beginning of July, just in the last 6 weeks. So here we go. I grouped them by little free libraries. There are 3 that are relatively near me. One of them is a bit farther, and that's going to be little free library number 1 because I took fewer books from there. I took 1 book from there in the last 6 weeks. It is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, which has been around BookTube quite a bit. I've seen quite a few people praise it. It's supposed to be a very good contemporary romance. When I saw the book the first time, I did not pick it up because I had just picked up a whole bunch of other books from other little free libraries. But I thought, okay, I'm going to give other people a chance. Not everybody has a dog, and not everyone can walk in front of little free libraries every day. So I'm going to give other people a chance. And I left it there. And then a week later, I went by the little free library again. It was still there. So I figured a week, people had time, it's mine. So I picked it up. And then yesterday I went again in front of that little free library, and this time I found magazines. So 3 issues of the New Yorker, recent issues. So this one is from August 25, August 18, and August 11. So I haven't read them yet. I don't think I'm going to read them. I think I'm just going to read the cartoons. Perhaps checks if there's 1 or 2 articles that interest me, and then I'm just going to put them back in a different little free library, and then someone else will be able to enjoy them. In little free library number 2, I found this. Wow, that looks interesting, right? Obviously the cover is missing. The title is Art in the Lives of Ordinary Romans, Visual Representation and Non-Elite Viewers in Italy from 100 BC to 315 AD by somebody named Clark. Does that person have John R. Clark, and it is from University of California Press. So this is a textbook, I suppose. I'm in downtown Ottawa, so the University of Ottawa is not very far, so I suspect that some student got rid of their books before they had to buy new ones, or perhaps just it's someone moving out and they decided to clear the library. Though it doesn't appear to be very new. Well, 2003, so it's not that old, but all the pictures are black and white. So there's no colored pictures. And I thought this would be great for actually 2 readathons. It would be great for Framed in September, which is a readathon that I'm hosting with Heather Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, and Anna from Anna's Books, and it's about art. So this would fit perfectly, and it would also fit Historathon 2025, which is a readathon that is lasting all year long. And the idea is to read history books. The year is divided into 4 quarters, and for each quarter there's a time period. So the first quarter in theory, it's from January to March, and it's supposed to cover from prehistory to the end of the Roman period. I don't do Historathon in order, but I haven't read anything for that period so far this year, so that could fit, that could fill the gap that I have in my Historathon reading. Otherwise, I've read a history book from every other period. I've read one for the Middle Ages. I've read one, more than one, for the period from 1500 to 1820, and again, several more from 1820 to not quite today because it's supposed to be history, but yeah, I've read several. Anyway, let's continue with the book haul. Another book that I found in that wonderful little free library, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've never read any du Maurier, and I think Rebecca is a good place where to start. It's one of her most famous. So yeah, that's a good one. I also found A Distant Mirror, The Calamitous 14th Century by Barbara W. Tuchman. Until a couple of years ago, is it a couple of years ago? Anyway, I didn't know this book existed. It was not an author that I knew. But then Steve Donahue started the STD Book Club, and that was the first book that he picked. And at the time I didn't join the book club. It's not something that you actually had to join. I watched the videos, but I did not join the book club. So belatedly, I can read the book that was that a lot of people read. So there's that. Another one, I've started it. It is Mulvannia, A Land Untouched by Modern Dentistry. And this is a fake guidebook about a fake country. It's spoofing countries from the Middle East, not the Middle East, from Eastern Europe. And yeah, it's mocking a little bit. It's not necessarily mocking the countries themselves, it's mocking the idea that Western readers have of these countries. So the name Mulvannia is obviously a contraction between Moldavia and Transylvania, I think. So that's the region we're aiming for. Yeah, I wonder how these guides are made. They're full of pictures, so I don't know if they created the pictures from scratch, or they just went on the internet and just took random pictures and decided, okay, this is going to be good for our fake guidebook. Just the biographies of the fake biographies of authors. It's hilarious. So Andy the Animal Wilson, a native of Brisbane, Australia. Andy's first taste of overseas travel was an end-of-year trip to Bali with his amateur football team. What was supposed to be a 2-week holiday turned into a year away, most of that time being spent in a Denspar prison on charges of setting fire to a monk. By the time he was released, the travel bug had bit, and Andy set out across Southeast Asia on an alcohol-fueled odyssey. After returning to Australia, he decided to write a book about his experiences overseas, but discovered he couldn't remember any. Since Andy has had his visa cancelled in over 30 countries and can speak 7 languages fluently when drunk, at last report, he was in Afghanistan fighting with the Taliban. Andy helped compile the sections on nightlife and Mulvanian beer holes. So it's just silliness like this. At the end, there's a map of the supposed metro, and the names of the stations are Velcro, Sphincter, Spittelbrick, Jakbot, Lycra, Ergo, Pants, Flog, Lard, Elbow, and there's also Platka, Ricastley. So place Ricastley. Anyway, so it sounds hilarious. I've started a bit. It's not something that I'm going to read cover. Well, I may read it cover to cover, but not in one go. I mean, just little bits at a time, like a guidebook, and it's really funny. One that I found like 10 minutes ago. Well, not 10 minutes ago because that video is almost 10 minutes long, but let's say 15-20 minutes ago. This one, The Adventures of Ibn Battuta, a Muslim traveler of the 14th century, and it says Ross E. Dunn. So I don't know what that is. I saw Ibn Battuta and I thought, oh, I want to read that because I know who Ibn Battuta is. As the subtitle says, he's a traveler from the 14th century, and he visited basically, I'm not going to say all the continent of Eurasia. He traveled through North Africa all the way to China. So basically this, all the middle of Eurasia, and a bit Africa too. So I don't think I At first, when I picked the book, I thought that it was the actual writing of Ibn Battuta because he left travel journal. However, I don't think that's what it is. I think after flipping through it, that it is a biography of Ibn Battuta based on what he wrote. And there, I believe, quotes of what Ibn Battuta wrote. So for example, like at the top here, this would be a quote, and here that would be the work of Mr. Dunn, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm going to pick it up at some point. I'm going to figure out what it is at some point, and if I like it, I keep reading it, and if I don't like it, I bring it back to a little free library. And then in that same trip of a few minutes ago, I found I was good. I was not greedy. I'm going to say that. I found 4 Maisie Dobbs novels, and I picked just one because I've never read any Maisie Dobbs novels. I don't know if I'm going to like the series or not. So I decided to pick just one. So I picked The Mapping of Love and Death. And the author is Jacqueline Winspear. So there's no particular reason why I picked that one. I looked quickly. There was one that was the #1. It was not. They were all like in the middle of the series. And I just looked at the title, and there was math on this one. And I like travel books, so I figured, math, that's good for me. So that's how I chose which one of the 4 to pick up. So that's that. And then in Little Free Library #3, I think the books that I prefer of all these books. I think these are my favorites in general. They are all nonfiction. So there's somebody who has decided to, well, I say somebody, it might be more than one person, who has decided to clean up their shelves and decide, okay, I'm not going to read that again. That one was not perhaps the best or whatever. So I have all nonfiction. So this one I've already shown in a previous video. This is Unruly by David Mitchell. I've started it, but barely. And it was funny. The little bit that I've read is quite funny. Yeah, anyway, so I think it's going to be fun. Another funny travel book, Bill Bryson. So this one is The Lost Continent, Travels in Small Town America. I love Bill Bryson. I've read mostly what he wrote about England. So I have Notes from a Small Island and The Road to Little Dribblings, whatever. And I also read his very famous A Walk in the Woods, which I have to say of the 3, A Walk in the Woods is my favorite. So that's another travel book by Bill Bryson. One River, Explorations and Discoveries in the Amazon Rainforest by Wade Davis. So apparently there's somebody who likes travels in these in these old free libraries, and I like that person, whoever that is. If it's just one person, or perhaps we're several in this little neighborhood to like to travel and travel books. So what caught my attention more than the title is the author, Wade Davis. He also wrote Into the Silence, which I have unread on my shelf somewhere, but it's one of the many books that I started, and for some reason I picked up something else, and I haven't finished it. But the little bit that I've read, I found super interesting, so I decided to pick it up. And it's another book that I left there for a few days because I decided, no, I'm not going to be greedy. I might not be the only one who wants this. So I left it there for a few days, and after a few days, it was still there. So yeah, it's mine. So I picked it up. The next one, I did not hesitate for a second. I decided that it was mine as soon as I saw it. It is We Don't Know Ourselves, A Personal History of Modern Ireland by Fintan O'Toole. That book I read the year that it came out, and it was my favorite book of the year. I adored that book, and I had borrowed it from the library, so now I have a copy of my own that I'm going to keep. So this one is not going back to a little free library, because I'm going to reread that at some point. I really love the book. Yeah, so it's so the book in itself is very good, and also the experience of reading it that I had was very good because I discussed it with my father, because it's often said that Ireland and the province of Quebec were very, very similar. And yeah, so I asked my father about when he grew up, how it looked like, and it sounded a lot like this. And then I realized that at some point that Quebec took a turn and Ireland did not take the turn. It just kept going in the direction that it was. So by the 1970s, 80s, 90s, Ireland is still very conservative compared to the province of Quebec, which took a turn, like, I'm going to say to the left or whatever, but it just, yeah, in the 1960s, there was what was called the Quiet Revolution, where basically the province of Quebec just got rid of religion. People stopped going to church, not overnight, but almost. And yeah, by the 1990s, there was only just a handful of people going to church, and nowadays it's just the elderly, but like the really elderly and immigrants, and that's basically it. The Catholic churches are empty. But yeah, anyway, so that was just one of the best books that I had, one of the best reading experience that I had, because I could discuss the book, so I'm keeping this one. And the last one is another one that I found today. Not in the same, well, actually, yeah, in the same little walk, because I don't, anyway, I'll show you the book. So the book that I found is Lulu and Eve by Christopher Pitcairn. It's not a book that I knew existed. I've read a couple of books about Saint Laurent, so Eve being Yves Saint Laurent, and yeah, I just saw the book and it just looked like a beautiful book. Like there's a glossy paper. Well, it's not, is it glossy? It's not quite glossy, but it's beautiful white paper. And at some point I flipped and I saw pictures. Apparently I saw the only pictures that there were. Okay, oh, is that pictures? Photographs? I think I saw one. No, anyway, and oh, there it is. I knew that there were some pictures. Anyway, and the way it is made, it's like just, it's kind of an oral history. It's like people are interviewed and whatever they say is grouped into themes, and it looks like an interesting book. So I decided to take it, and there were other great nonfiction in that particular little free library, like at the moment when I picked that one up. There was House of Gucci, which I think is a nonfiction about the House of Gucci. There was a book about the Gabor sisters, like Zaza Gabor. And there was another one about the Hilton family. Like the only one that I know is Paris Hilton, but her parents or more grandparents, I think more likely, founded the Hilton hotels. Grandparents, great-grandparents, anyway, so it's about that, and I did not pick them up, even though I think I would be interested in these books. I decided to leave them for someone else. And yeah, as I said, on this last walk, I deliberately went to two little free libraries, not to pick up stuff, but to leave stuff, because I don't take a book each time I go for a walk for my little dog. So the way that I work is that if I find something, I pick it up, and then on the next trip I make sure to bring something to leave something. And at the moment I don't feel like the books that I'm leaving in the little free libraries are as good as the one that I'm picking up. When I unpacked my library, I called quite a few books, over 100 of them, and what I did, and they were in two boxes, and somehow they ended up being one box of English books mainly, and the other box of books in French mainly. And there was one, they were piled, the one with French books was at the bottom, and the other one was at the top. And every time I went to the library, the regular library, there's a box where we can leave books for sale. And I would leave a few books, and I would just take like 3 or 4, and I would leave a few books. That's what I did until I got a little dog, and it became complicated to go through the actual library. So now what I have left is almost all books in French, mass market paperbacks, a bit of the style that you don't really see at the top, or a bit like these here. And most of them are novels, and most of them, I have to say, are not the best, because I don't want to reread them. So I feel like I'm not leaving stuff that is as good as what I'm taking. But I suppose at some point the wheels will turn, and everything is subjective. So the books that I didn't find that interesting, the novels I thought were just okay, perhaps they were more in the taste of someone else who's going to walk in front of that little free library. And of course now what happens is that I look if the books that I left are still there, and they tend not to stay there for that long. So I figure, well, somebody must like them. Or the person who is taking care of the little free library makes sure that there's a turnover. I met one person who owns a little free library, the number 3, the one where I found all this great nonfiction. I was just standing there and she was getting in, arriving from I don't know where, and she started to chit chat and asking me like what sort of books that I liked, and if I spoke French or English, because we are in the region where we had books in both languages. And yeah, she said that what's really popular are mysteries. That's the most popular thing. And she says that herself, that she told me that, oh, if you don't like them, I have plenty more. So I think that what she does is, if the box is a bit too full, or if she sees that some books are staying there for too long, she has something like that she keeps inside the house and that she replaces to make sure that there's a turnover of books. So anyway, all of this said, I think that the books that I leave there are interesting because they tend not to stay there for too long, though there's one that I left there and that is still there like 4 weeks later. So I'm thinking, that wasn't a great choice. But that book is actually a Shakespeare. It's Julius Caesar by Shakespeare. It's not the best edition, I guess. There's not a lot of extra material, and I suppose that's the reason why it's not the most popular. But who knows? Anyway, that's it. So that's it. That's my complaining. My little dog makes me acquire books. And he makes me acquire dog toys, but that's a different thing. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine.